G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because I'm actually a little bit speechless. I don't know what to say about this because today is actually a really incredible day in the world of Australian rugby. Today is a day that a lot of people has waited decades to see, and finally, I think there's a lot of people in Perfingtang are really proud of the local team, the Western Force, after pulling up a monumental upset against the best team in Australia against the Brumbies away in Canberra. This was, it's not just the win that's like impressive, right? The Western Force went from a club that was kicked out of Super Rugby not that long ago with their future pretty much like dead, right? Risen from the ashes after COVID for look, we just Australian rugby was basically like, look, we need to fill the numbers after the South Africans got kicked out. Why do you come in and fill the numbers for us, right? That was pretty much what the deal was for the Western Force, and they took that opportunity. They built it. They had an idea of how they want to build the culture of the team, right? And they made something. They made something that is really special. This team, right? Unlike the other teams, like the Melbourne Rebels, right? This team was built on the premise that, hey, we are all really far away from everybody else. We're out there in Perth. A lot of guys have to move their families over with their girlfriends, their wives and kids over to come to this environment that is completely almost isolated from the rest of the world. And they came here, right, because they want to be rugby players, because they wanted to build a club that they can be proud of, build into that history, right? It's the whole idea is that everybody came here to achieve something better than, to be part of the club, to be part of the culture, right? And that's the fundamental base of this team, and the players thrived on that idea, and everybody's proud to be a Western Force player. Everybody's proud to be, a Perfingtang resident, and you showed this team. This is the difference between the Western Force and the Melbourne Rebels. Everybody at the Rebels is there to play for a paycheck. It's there because there's a big city and everybody is out for the parties, right? You go to the Western Force, you go to Perth, you go there for rugby. You go there to be part of the community, to be part of the culture, and it really showed tonight that the players were just absolutely outstanding. Like, I'm getting a bit emotional. Absolutely outstanding tonight. Like, the Western Force had 4 yellow cards against the Brumbies, and they still pulled out the win. I mean, I can't believe this. Against the best team in Australia, and everybody just... Donaldson's goal kicking was absolutely sublime, okay? Like, this is the best goal kicking I have ever seen out of Donaldson. Dylan Peach was amazing, incredible. All the boys, the forwards, were just like physically confronting. The Western Force actually scored 2 tries whilst they were down in numbers. They scored a try early in the game when they had a yellow card. They could easily kick 3. They had an opportunity to kick 3. They went for the line out, and they scored with the play in the bin. And just the fact that they did that gave themselves the confidence at the end when they were down to 13 players, and they still backed themselves to score tries to win the game. And they scored after 17 phases of pounding the Brumbies, going over for the try of Faianga Amosa, right? Like, it's amazing how this team has pulled themselves together, and I am so proud of what these players have achieved, something that the rest of the Australian teams can probably learn a little bit, especially the Rebels, and they're gone now, right? They deserve that. The Rebels were most disappointing because no one at the Rebels team wanted to be there for the culture. No one wanted to be there. They just want to be there for the money, and that's, yeah, the club's gone under because of it, and that's the difference, right? That's the difference between the teams. And when the Rebels disbanded, the Western Force didn't actually, I don't even know if they got any players from the Rebels, right? Like, the Rebels players all went to, like, the popular places, like here at Waratahs. Oh, let's go to the popular place. Let's go to Sydney, guys. Let's go to Sydney and live by the beach, guys. Nobody wants to go to Perth, right? And that's what you don't want. You don't want the people that just want to be here to make the money. You want the people that wanted to come and play rugby. And that's what the Western Force did, right? And someone's going to probably say, oh, there are some Brumby. There are some Melbourne Rebels player actually went to the Western Force, but like the starting team was players that they wanted to be there, not because they couldn't get. They wanted to go, play in Sydney in the sun by the beach, right? Like that's the difference. I'm so happy. I am so happy. I don't even know what else to say. This was so good, so good. The Brumbies still, despite playing against 4 yellow cards, still couldn't win the game. I thought the Brumbies, without a lot of CO, the wider channels looked a bit lacking a little bit. The accuracy was very low. The kicking game was also pretty poor. I thought Nick White was really controlled the box kicks and control where the game wanted to play. The kicking distance from the Western Force was much better and had more range as well. Donaldson's kicking was better as well. The Brumbies had that physicality up front, which was a big plus to the team. And outside of that, I think that the Western Force was just more gutsy, wanted it more, and knew what needed to be done to win the game, and they clutched it out. And the Brumbies just didn't really look like there's some weird bizarre decisions as well with the Brumbies. For example, they had like a penalty, and then one of the penalties they had in front of the try line, they took a tap, which is fine. I guess it's fine. And then another one where the Western Force had like 2 yellow cards. They went for the scrum, and I get it. You wanted to scrum because there's players in the bin, and then they lost the scrum somehow. So, I mean, it's just a little bit bizarre there. And then in addition, one of the yellow cards, I want to talk about this, which I don't agree. And this is, again, I think a culture issue. Speaks a larger culture issue of the Brumbies, and you cannot disagree with him on this. And this is a little bit of a controversial take, is that the Brumbies has this idea that they should milk penalties as much as they can, because this is something that they've been doing in the past, especially under Dan McKellar. It's better now, but still, this yellow card to Jeremy Williams should be a penalty to Brumbies, against the Brumbies, right? So this is Andy Muirhead. He chipped the ball over the top. He looks up. He sees Jeremy Williams is in the air, right? Williams has jumped up. This is like, it's science. You're charging the ball down. You're moving forward. You are going to be flying towards the ball kicker in the air. Like there's nothing like unless you ban charge downs. This is gonna happen. You're gonna jump up in the air. You're gonna fly towards the goal. The guy that just kicked the ball. This is just what's gonna happen, right? There's nothing wrong Jeremy Williams did here. And Muirhead looked up. He sees Williams is in the air. He charges straight into him. You see? He didn't even try to slow down. He didn't even try to take a slow down or dodge that. He just ran straight into him. I mean, you can disagree with me all you want. He just ran. In fact, he looked like he actually stepped slightly towards it, so he collides into Jeremy Williams, right? Like, I mean, this you could. I mean, is it just me, or does it look like? Is it just me? Like, he's going. You can see he kicked the ball. You can see he's running at an angle, right? He can run you can see with his shadow. He's running this way, and he steps. He literally steps into Jeremy Williams, right? He curved himself straight into him. I mean, I can't be. I mean, surely you can see this, right? And I know it's a big thud. During the game there was a big thud, but this should be I think this should be a penalty to the Brumbies against the Brumbies for doing this, because there's nothing wrong with Jeremy Williams did. There is a situation if Jeremy Williams recklessly jumped up in the air and threw himself into the ball player. He did not do that. He just jumped up in the air and just momentum carried him forward, and Muirhead literally changed his angle and ran into him. I think that's a little bit of someone needs to look into that. I mean it's a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the stats. 6 tries apiece, 576 run meters for the Brumbies to 286 for the Western Force. and the Western Force still won the game. Yeah, that's like, you know, you don't need to run that many meters to win the game. But the Western Force, despite the lower run meters, it's not the reason. They actually have a much better kicking range. Turnovers as well. 15 turnovers conceded against the Brumbies, 4 against the Western Force. 251 tackles made by the Western Force, 28 missed tackles. The Brumbies, 111 tackles made, 50 missed tackles. So the Western Force were under the pumps, especially when they were in the bin, and they were able to hold on. 31 kicks in play for the Western Force to the Brumbies 19, 100% goal kicking for both sides. But the difference here, 1,024 kick meters to the Brumbies 455. So that is how the did I say Rebels? The Western Force were able to keep themselves in the game by playing those territory with smart kicking throughout the game. 2 line-out loss out of 13 for the Brumbies, 2 line-outs loss out of 6 for the Western Force. 1 scrum loss against the Brumbies. There weren't that many scrums, to be honest. No scrum loss for the Western Force. There was only 4 penalties against the Brumbies. Is that correct? Can't be correct. There was only 4 penalties against the Brumbies, 10 against the Western Force, 4 yellow cards. My God, how did you? Oh man, I'm actually, yeah, really incredible effort by the Western Force. I can't, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about a quick recap of the game. I'm so happy. So yeah, the Western Force actually started off with just like running away, with like just blowing the Brumbies away. And if it wasn't for the yellow cards, the Western Force could have beaten the Brumbies like 50 points to 10 or something. Seriously, 3 minutes into the game, some good offloads down the sideline from the Western Force and sending Dolly in for the first try. Like 3 minutes, just some nice passes between the players. First try, 7 points to 0. 9 minutes into the game, there was a massive loopy pass by Andy Muirhead, and it was intercepted by Harry Porter. Abracadabra, he got the ball straight through under the goalpost. 14 points to 0 to the Western Force. 19 minutes into the game, Donaldson pulling the strings. Nice crossfield kick. The Dylan Peach caught this on the full try time. 21 points to 0 after just under 20 minutes for the Western Force. Yeah, so after this 22 minutes, first yellow card occurred. It was a deliberate knock on by Dylan Peach. I thought this was probably just a penalty, but the referee said there was a line break opportunity out wide. Fair enough. I 100% agree with this yellow card. With that argument, I'm 100% agree with this. The commentators were saying like, oh, he got his hand up, but it doesn't matter. It's deliberate knock on. It's not deliberate knock down. It doesn't matter which way you hit the ball. It's still knock on, because you can argue if you're allowed people to knock the ball up and not a penalty and not get sent off, then people are gonna be deliberately knocking the ball up to stop other teams from scoring tries, right? So you're creating a loophole if you're allowed players to knock the ball up. So as long as it's a knock on, then it's a penalty. You can send off yellow card. You gotta take your risk. Then that's the risk you take if you want to go for stuff like that. And I think it's fair enough, because you're disrupting the opposition from an opportunity to score a try. Yellow card, off he goes. With the play in bin, Tom Wright found some space out of sideline. He ran through, linked up with Andy Muirhead, winning for the first try for the Brumbies. 7 points to 21. 31 minutes into the game, there was a play in the bin for the Western Force. They did not want to go for the 3 points. Everybody's like, just go for the 3. You know, you're running the clock down a little bit, and you're still leading quite a bit. They went for the line out, they went for the maul, and then Tazano, there was a little shift. Again, they planned this out. They knew exactly what they want to do. They had the ball more. Jeremy Williams caught the ball and passed the ball down to one of the players at the back. So there was the second ball set up with Tazano, was the ripper, and then they just ran the little side maul through for the try for Tazano. 28 points to 7. Really, really, really well done. 37 minutes into the game, the Brumbies gets their second try. Tom Hooper again charged in. This was a huge collision between Tom Hooper and the Western Force number 8. What's his name? Preston? I think his name is Preston or something. What's his name? Princep. So he charged into Princep, and there was like a head on shoulder collision. Both players had the head hit on the opposite guy's shoulder. I think again, Tom Hooper like charged into him. I thought this was a bit rough for a yellow card. And Tom Hooper also ducked in as well. So I thought this was probably just been a penalty, because it's as much as Tom Hooper's fault as it is Princep, swap by Princep, got sent off for a yellow card here. So Western Force down a player again. So yeah, Brumbies with that, they went for the line out. They had they got pretty close, and then they just truck in the ball in the center field, and then switch back to the blind side. And Meredith, the new number 10, goes in for the try. 14 points to 28. Second half, the Brumbies came out firing. The Western Force still has a play in the bin for 5 minutes. 3 minutes into the second half, there was a scrappy line out. The ball got ripped out, and the ball kind of just like bounced on the ground, and the Brumbies kind of just scooped the ball up. What's his name? Billy Polar, some nice offload, and then eventually Charlie Kale ran in for a try. 21 points to 28. Freebie here. 46 minutes in the game. The Brumbies was inside the Western Force 22, just working the tight areas. Lots of pick and go. Eventually, there was a mismatch. Nick White was mismatched up against Sau Masu. There's like a big guy off the bench. What's his name? This guy, Sau Maisu. He just ran over Nick White for the try. And 28 points to 28. 48 minutes in the game, there was a penalty. Western Force decided to take 3 points to just get the momentum back a little bit. 31 points to 28. 53 minutes into the game, the Brumbies had a line out. It was overthrown. Again, they would look like, there was just some a bit of a confusion. Eventually, some good hands down the sideline. Corey Toole just ran through a bit of a gap down the sideline for the try. 31 points to 35. 57 minutes into the game, the Western Force, another planned line out. They had 2 players in the bin at this point, I think, or 1 player. But anyway, so Western Force, another beautiful line out play. The ball went down for the hooker, Paenga Amosa, to sweep around the back of the line out, and he just threw an inside pass to Dylan Peach that was just hiding there. Ran straight through the 10 channel. Try. 35 points to 38. Western Force gets back in front. 61 minutes to get out of penalty to the Brumbies. Tap and go, just pounding towards the try line. Eventually, Charlie Kale, the big boy, goes over again. 42 points to 38. 64 minutes of the game, Jeremy Williams got sent off for the charge down thing. This was 64 minutes. 68 minutes in the game, there was a penalty advantage for offside. And then the referee was given warnings against the Western Force for repeated penalties. And a few minutes later, there was another penalty. So the number 6 for the Western Force, Chris Pingy, goes off for repeated penalties for the team. So now Western Force are down to 13 players. Looks like the Brumbies are going to win this one. But note, the 69 minutes, the Brumbies went for the scrum and somehow got turned over against 13 players. And then the Western Force get themselves to jail. Finally, 78 minutes in the game, Western Force still has 13 players on the field. They just had the forwards pick and go. 18 phases of pretty much just like pick and go. They crashed over Paenga Amosa, 45 points to 42, running the game clock down after that for the win over the Brumbies. It was like, 6,000 something days last time they beat the Brumbies in Canberra. So magnificent, outstanding. I'm very, very proud of this team. And I think I'm going to go get a Western Force jersey now. This is really impressive. So let me know your thoughts about this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Cheers.